Welcome to this in-depth exploration. Today, we're going to discuss some fascinating material about Bodhisattva. Imagine if our inner afflictions and emotions were formidable opponents, then Bodhisattva would be our secret weapon. This material is quite special because it uses several vivid metaphors to explain what Bodhisattva is and its power. So, our task today is to examine these metaphors and grasp the core concept of Bodhisattva, especially how it helps us confront strong emotions like hatred. Let's begin. The first point mentions Bodhisattva as Indra's net, stating that this net can subdue afflictions, specifically highlighting the hatred of Asuras. Asuras are known for having great blessings but also being very hot-tempered. Yes, that's right, Asuras can fight with devas, but their malevolent, combative minds are very strong. Here, Bodhisattva is likened to a net, emphasizing that it contains an awareness of afflictions, especially hatred. When you start to realize and clearly see where this hatred comes from and its harms, this awareness itself acts like a net. It helps you keep that hatred in check and gradually overcome it. So, it's not that Bodhisattva is a net, but its function is like a net first, using this net of awareness to cover and clearly see the affliction. Next, the material describes Bodhisattva as Indra's fire, saying it can burn away all delusions and habits, 祸习. Does 祸习 refer to confusion and bad habits? Yes, precisely, those are the confusions, our thoughts, and negative ingrained patterns. This fire metaphor goes a step further, emphasizing the thoroughness of eradicating afflictions. However, the material also warns that even if everything is burned, if even a tiny bit like ash remains, those habitual tendencies can flare up again. This highlights that spiritual practice isn't a one-time event. It requires continuous awareness and diligent effort to truly burn and dissipate the root causes, so they don't return. Besides the net and fire, there's an even more powerful metaphor, Bodhisattva as the Varana wind, which is said to shake and even destroy everything, like a doomsday gale. How does this relate to Bodhisattva? This metaphor points to the immense potential of Bodhisattva. What potential? The potential to destroy beings' afflictions, past karma, and even negative karmic results. The text mentions the vows of Buddha Ratnasambhava, who vowed to eliminate the evil karmic results of all beings. To generate Bodhisattva, in a sense, is to awaken a similar awareness and power within us to believe we have the ability to transform and eliminate these obstacles. But the key is whether you genuinely feel this power and rely on it, rather than just verbally reciting or intellectually understanding the concept. I think you'll hit on a crucial point. The material also mentions a similar situation. Many people seem to understand the principles but often don't feel anything, or they find it makes sense when they hear it, only to revert to old patterns shortly after. This is indeed a significant challenge in spiritual practice. The material suggests a very colloquial phrase, fixating on one point and working on it for 21 days. This direct expression means making a firm resolve, deliberately and intently practicing to firmly imprint that realization, that dharma, onto your mind, making it your own. The material also presents an interesting reflection. We often hear that it's easy to practice in the human realm. However, the text points out that if we lack certain foundations, like the 10 virtuous deeds, then in our human world full of temptations and many afflictions, practice can be very difficult, perhaps even harder than for celestial beings who have greater blessings and a better foundation. Therefore, true practice requires a foundation and diligent effort to counter our ingrained habits, those tendencies to easily believe our wild thoughts, 性妄想, follow our feelings, 随感觉, or act impulsively, 一意冲动. Countering these is crucial. So, foundation and persistent resistance to habitual patterns are very important. Finally, there's a metaphor comparing Bodhisattva to the fearless medicine, which is said to free people from 5 fears: fire, poison, knives, water, and smoke. What does this medicine refer to? This points to a deeper, more fundamental level. When you genuinely arouse this all-knowing Bodhisattva, this medicine can counteract our 5 main inner fears or afflictions. What are these 5? Greed burns like fire, hatred harms like poison, ignorance or delusion wounds like a knife, being caught in the cycle of samsara, 游流, is like drifting aimlessly in water, and finally, restless thoughts and perceptions, 绝观烟, spread like smoke. So, fire, poison, knives, water, and smoke refer to these inner states. Why can Bodhisattva counteract them? Because ultimately, one realizes a core truth: all phenomena are merely one's own mind. The material uses an analogy here that I find excellent. It says your mind is essentially like a screen, like a TV screen or computer screen. All the phenomena you experience, whether they are afflictions, emotions, external favorable or unfavorable conditions, are all like images or movies playing on that screen. Now, think about it. Even if there's a big fire in a movie, can it burn the screen itself? No, it can't. Even if there's a flood in a movie, it can't drown the screen. When you realize this unchanging essence, which is the screen itself, you'll understand that all these fluctuating, arising, and ceasing phenomena, conditioned phenomena, are, in essence, like dreams, illusions, water bubbles, or shadows. They cannot truly harm your inherent, pure self-nature. This screen analogy is truly enlightening. So, as we've seen today, Bodhisattva isn't an abstract concept. It's sometimes like a net helping us see afflictions clearly, sometimes like fire burning away bad habits, sometimes like wind with the potential to sweep everything away, and sometimes like medicine giving us the strength to face fear. The most crucial understanding here, just like the screen analogy, points to the need to recognize the unchanging essence of our mind. Perhaps we can leave you with a question to ponder. Since these afflictions and habits are like images on a screen, though we know they're illusory, we are still affected by them as if they were real. How can you begin to practice seeing that constantly stable, unchanging screen itself in your daily life, instead of always getting lost in the ever-changing images? This practice might be the first step in truly bringing the wisdom of Bodhisattva into your life.